Well, hey folks, it's your old pal King Waspinator. Welcome back to Total Party Skills. It's been a bit of a weird week now, hasn't it? The controversy over the article seems to have already fizzled out. Yes, people are talking about it. Even got Clownfish TV to talk about it a little bit, but the general reaction from the community is kind of a little fizzled, you know. I mean, there's certainly a lot of like, yeah, that sucks, these people suck, but nothing's really happening. There's no consequences to be had for this. It's not getting everyone to get along with each other. It's not going to re-rally the troops. That brief moment of solidarity last year after the OGL stuff had blown up, we're never going to recapture that, ever. So, hi to all the new people who came over to the channel. My subscriptions went up by like close to 50. I credit that entirely because Grim Jim was nice enough to share my video, which I kind of wish I had never made. Not because of getting into any sort of like, slap fight issues with anybody, but mostly just because of the fact that that whole incident has like completely derailed what I was thinking about writing. I was in the middle of doing a second edition of Lady Spy Detective, and I have a couple other things I'm kind of fiddling with here and there as I go. But the next thing I was going to write has just completely disappeared from my mind for days now. I'd literally kind of just sitting on my desk with the word processor open, page 57 blank, just kind of well, I guess I'll look at my phone, It'll get there, or either I'll just skip on to the next section and circle back around to it, or I'll just write something else. But just never should have read that article. Wish I'd never noticed Grim Jim on Twitter asking for other people to try to spread word on it. The whole thing was kind of a waste of time. It's cool that I got some subscribers out of it. I don't know how many of y'all are really going to stick around. I don't talk about Dungeons and Dragons much at all anymore. I don't really talk much about other role-playing games much anymore. I've spent the last almost 3 years now writing my own stuff. I got a pretty impressive catalog, I would think, for somebody who's just been doing it entirely 100% on their own with no advertising. Yeah, my sales aren't great. I haven't had tremendous impact. I've never made it on any bestseller lists on DTRPG or any of that kind of stuff. And being number one in Vampire on Amazon doesn't mean shit, because, no one buys role-playing games on Amazon. So if one person orders a book, then suddenly I get to be number one in that category for a little while. It's really not that big of a deal. But, there's kind of an angle of, at what point am I going to have written enough books for people to, take me seriously on any level? At what point have I put out the equivalent amount of content as... just looking at what's available on DriveThruRPG from some of the older companies that have been around since the 90s, I have as much, if not more, stuff on DriveThruRPG than some of them do. So at what point do I get to be a real publisher? I don't know. But I guess on that front, let's talk a little bit about 5 little campaign packs I assembled out of materials from Girls Gone Vampire. Shit. Fuck. Oh yeah. So I'd made these 5 books at the beginning of January. They're pseudo-compilations. I'm calling them campaign packs. What they each do is they take a certain aspect of the Girls Gone Vampire setting and they tighten down on that. They gather together a bunch of different factions of vampires, cults, various supernatural creatures, vampire hunters, and all that all interrelate with each other to a certain degree, or all kind of fit into the same, bubble of theme that wraps around each one of these books. But what they do is they allow you to run Girls Gone Vampire, where you only have to buy one of them and the copy of the rules handbook. You can get a bit more of a broader swath of the Girls Gone Vampire setting than what you would if you were just going with the main core rule book and then you started adding more and more source books. They do have material in them that is entirely original to these books, just in case someone who has happened to have bought all the Girls Gone Vampire books and then gets these isn't going to feel like they've been ripped off. But the idea, though, is that it kind of allows a little sampler for someone who maybe only has the rule book and the basic Girls Gone Vampire book to kind of, just explore along just one thread of the setting. Members Only is basically your most boiled down version of Girls Gone Vampire. It's all about the cults and vampires that hang around with, manipulate, and feed upon Noir York City's elite in 1955. You got your, Boeotian Penthouse Club, Parthenon, all that kind of stuff. Let's look specifically through the table of contents here for a little reminder. So yeah, we got the Boeotian Penthouse Club, the Dead Actors Guild, Parthenon. It also discusses the Van Hatten Gentlemen's Club and the California Dream Cult. Girls Gone Vampire Sweet Dreams focuses more on the mystic aspect of the setting. The main factions that the book is framed around are the Hantubellian Werecats, Cult of the Moon Goddess, Cult of Dragon Mastery. What else we got in here? There's a big section on dimensional travel, Dryad vampires, Puka vampires, vampire hellhounds, the Bronxland Neighborly Patrol, Ion Bronxland, talks about Penanggaling vampires from the east, rules on dream hunting and dream stalking. And Strange Bedfellows, well, the name of the book comes from the fact that it's a kind of an odd combination of things going on in here. It's the least vampirish of these books. It can basically be described low-key as lesbians versus ninjas. Inner Demons looks at some of the more darker aspects of the Girls Gone Vampire setting, such as your vampire urges, voodoo cultists, devils. What else we got here? Yeah, ghost characters. I bring back the head of the Jackal from Ghost of the Shadow Zone. Makes an appearance in this book. The NYPD Special Crimes Unit. Strange News Monthly. Talks about incubi and succubi. Goes back over Hades in case you don't have the Sweet Dreams book to talk about dimensional travel. And also has a bunch of new magic items and talks a bit about star vampires. And then finally, Better Angels, which is, trying to be a bit like your Prophecy and Nominee kind of subsetting that exists within Girls Gone Vampire. You got your utopian vampires, obviously, and the Knights of the Temple of the Blood of Christ Divine. Talks a bit more about Holy Swordsmen. I introduce Amazon Valkyries into the Girls Gone Vampire setting in this. Arch Vampires, a bunch of details about the Sin Eaters, more about the Belt of Hippolyte, and other good stuff. Like I said, the whole idea behind these, though, is you only need any one of these, and you can pair it up with the rules book, and bam, you're ready to go. You don't have to have bought the entire giant pile of Girls Gone Vampire products to... And also, like I said, it helps refine the campaign concepts down a bit tighter. Girls Gone Vampire is intentionally kind of like, a smorgasbord of options for game masters to kind of pick from and put together. And so in some ways, these kind of serve almost as examples of, how you can make a more high concept type campaign out of Girls Gone Vampire by how you choose which factions, cults, vampire types, supernatural creatures that you want to include directly in the campaign and how the plots between them boil out, so to say. So anyway, I guess that's about it. Check these out on the DriveThruRPG or Amazon.com. If you want them in print, I'll leave links. And back to you, Dave. So that's it for this week's episode of The Last Word with Clout Snake. Be sure to hit like and subscribe and ring the bell. Follow me on Twitter. Check out my links below to Amazon.com and DriveThruRPG. And as always,
First of all, what went through my mind is how stupid am I to actually volunteer for this? It was unbelievably painful.